She tells him, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love. I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you.
Hey guys, Mosa here, and today I'm bringing you some NFL news stories from the past few days. Now, without a further ado, let's get started. Now, let's kick it off with Broncos linebacker Jewell, I probably said that wrong, who actually tore his pec in week 2 against the Jaguars. He's out for the entire season. Although he got injured in week 2, he's honestly a very good linebacker. And honestly, it's a very big loss. Not as big as you could say Von Miller or Bradley Chubb. But when it comes to Denver, I think losing players like Jewell is going to be something to take not lightly. Because to be honest, he has been doing well these past few weeks. He played in 2 games entirely. The 2 games, week 1 and week 2. But 8 combined tackles, 7 solo tackles, 1 assist, 1 pass defended, and 1 forced fumble. Decent for just 2 games. And honestly, I would have expected this guy to be a more or less a kind of like a third linebacker to worry about when it comes to that defense, because mostly it's Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. But regardless of that, I do believe that this guy could have done so much for the Denver Broncos. But even though the Denver Broncos haven't been really facing against tough teams, as they face the New York Giants in week 1, and then they go on to face off Jacksonville in week 2, and then you go on and see that they have the Jets next. I don't expect these Broncos to lose, but some of these games that will come up, those are going to be some tough games where you need defenders like Josie. Now, on to the Texans quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, who is expected to miss 4 weeks after he suffered a hamstring injury against the Cleveland Browns. Honestly, this guy has been doing very well. And honestly, Tyrod Taylor does well on teams when he's the starting quarterback. He took the Bills to the playoffs when he got there. He also went to, I think he took them to the playoffs. I'm not really sure. It might have been Josh Allen. But I know he got a Pro Bowl in Buffalo. That's how good he was. And then he goes to the Cleveland Browns. And yeah, ends up getting a tie with them and then getting injured and replaced by Baker Mayfield. And then he goes to Los Angeles and that same thing happens. But this time it wasn't really his fault, as he got his lung punctured by a doctor. And that's why Justin Herbert had to come in and replace him. And then basically, the thing is, he does well, because that week 1 of that season, he had actually won that game against the Bengals. And honestly, this guy honestly did so good against the Jacksonville Jaguars week 1. He has a total of 44 passes, 31 of them being completed, 416 yards, 3 touchdowns to no interception in 2 games. Now, of course, we know that he didn't play partly in the Browns game due to his hamstring injury. But that doesn't mean that the guy couldn't have done well, because he did score a touchdown on that day. But regardless of that, I hope Tyrod Taylor the best. But for those thinking that Deshaun Watson is most likely going to come back, replace him, well, think again, as he's inactive for week 3 once again. He will not play against the Panthers, and he will not suit up as a backup quarterback either. That will be Jeff Driscoll, who has just been promoted from the practice squad. And the starting quarterback will actually be, if I'm not mistaken, the rookie Davis Mills. Now, this will give him an opportunity to become the Texans' future. But is he? I don't really know. I don't trust that much of Davis Mills like I would like Trevor Lawrence. Even though he's not doing that well on this kind of team, I think Mac Jones could do well, Justin Fields could do well, and even Trevor Lawrence, who isn't doing that well in Jacksonville. Honestly, I would have expected those kind of quarterbacks to do much better with the Houston Texans than Davis Mills. But, well, that's what you have to deal with. You have to deal with the next man up. And the next man up just happens to be the rookie quarterback. And you got to see if this rookie is your guy because Deshaun Watson is no longer your guy. And he either will be traded away to a team in the almost getting to the deadline, or he will be getting traded real quick to the Miami Dolphins after what happened to Tua. Now, for our last story, it is wide receiver Jarvis Landry of the Cleveland Browns being placed on injury reserve. He could return this year, though. He could return. It is most likely he will return. But he is out with a MCL sprain, which he suffered against the Texans. Now, this will give the Cleveland Browns young wide receiver some more opportunities. You got guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones and Rashard Higgins getting opportunities, even though Higgins has actually been doing very well. I think that this is going to be more opportunities for guys like that. Anthony Schwartz as well. I'm not going to really say OBJ because OBJ, as we all know who he is. We know what kind of receiver he is. And we know he will be able to do his job, what he needs to do. And honestly, I think that this is more for opportunities for receivers that don't really play as much as Jarvis Landry and OBJ. And that, as I stated, would be Donovan Peoples-Jones and Rashard Higgins. Now, Jarvis Landry, for the past 2 games, had 6 targets, all of them caught, 80 yards and no touchdowns. While on the ground, he had 2 carries and 13 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, not very good for a receiver like Jarvis Landry, but to be honest, this game is not played with one guy. Yes, there are teams like in the NBA where you got one guy that can carry your entire team. But in the NFL, it's a team game and you have to work together. And honestly, I know that the Cleveland Browns running it with the Nick Chubb in that backfield or throwing it to OBJ, Rashard Higgins, as I stated, there was also Jarvis Landry. They have to just work as a team, and that's what the Cleveland Browns have been doing. And that's what I think the Cleveland Browns are a good team this year, and they will continue to impress week after week. And honestly, even though they lost Jarvis Landry for a few games, maybe a while, but I still think that the Cleveland Browns are a team that you should not mess with. Now, in my conclusion, I think that the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos have definitely lost some good players. Like, Tyrod Taylor has been incredible for the Texans, Josie has been good for the Broncos, and Landry has been alright for the Browns. Now, to be honest, is it going to change their routes to victory? And honestly, I only think that the one that will really change is the Texans. Why? Because Tyrod Taylor and Davis Mills are not the same kind of quarterback. Davis Mills will struggle as a rookie quarterback, or maybe he proves me wrong and he becomes the next Justin Herbert and Baker Mayfield. Who knows? But regardless of that, I think that that's going to be a bit issues with the Houston Texans there. Josie, I think the Broncos have already lost 5 players already and they're not doing that well, but they are doing good enough to win. And they're going to do the same to the Jets because the Jets aren't doing good as well. And honestly, it's going to get tougher and tougher when you get to games like in Kansas City, against the Raiders, against the Chargers. Those are the games that these players are going to matter for the Broncos, and they're not going to have them due to injury. And Jarvis Landry and the Browns, as I stated, this is a team game, and honestly, there are more receivers that will get opportunities. As I said, Donovan Peoples-Jones and Rashard Higgins could take the workload off of Jarvis Landry and actually work to get themselves into the playoffs once again and get even further, maybe even reach the Super Bowl, even though I highly doubt that. Now, that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Tweet me any video ideas. Also, tell me down in the comments below, which one of these stories did you like the most? And honestly, which one of these stories do you think that honestly was the worst out of them? Because these weren't really good stories. They were just players getting injured and not being able to play for a while, and one not even being able to finish the season. But regardless of that, tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Now, like this video if you liked it, subscribe, and hit the notification if you want more videos. And I'll see you guys next time.